for the week. You have your first graded assessment next class. So that is Thursday. What that assessment is going to cover is 2 variable systems, which we did last class. You had practice, we did notes, you had some Delta math. Most of you guys got close to your Delta math, hopefully. I think you had 6 questions to do. It was some that were already set up, and then there was some word problems. There will be word problems on these mid-units and the summatives, so you need to practice with those. The other thing that we're going to do today is solving a 3-variable system. This is new to Algebra 2. You probably haven't seen this before. I have a way that I want you to do it, so even if you're like trying to work ahead or whatever, stop what you're doing and listen to me. Because again, with the partial credit thing, I really need to be able to follow your work. Also, just have some like pointers here and there that will hopefully help you through that. As far as absences, because we're already starting with that, if you do miss a mid-unit, you need to be in contact with me on trying to find a time to make that up because it is a grade. So if you're absent Thursday and you miss this, like pay attention because I'm going to be giving you a time options to come in and make that up before the summative. This is going to be a tight window here if you're absent next week, but we'll figure that when we get there. Okay? So let's go to our notes. I don't know what page we're on. Anyone know that?
10.
Page 10. All right, let's go to page 10. Okay, Chromebooks up, please. I want you listening up here, and I kind of want to talk about what to do. So there are, as far as notes, I think there's 6 or 7 of these. I'm probably only going to do maybe like 2 or 3. If I feel like I need to jump in and try another one, I will. But really, with these, like, I could do all of them with you, but what you really need to do is, like, figure out how to work them yourself and practice through and just get used to, like, the flow. It's very much a methodical process, and once you get it, you can do any one of these. But kind of understanding the organization with it takes a little bit of time, so we'll do some together, and then it will be work. I'm probably going to give you the solutions to all these in the notes just as like a help for you to make sure like when you're on track, your work is matching my answers. And then your Delta math for today, there's only 3 problems to do because they take a while, okay? Also on the mid-unit, don't expect to get 6 of these because they take forever. But you do need to, it will be on there, and so you do need to know how to do these. We are, again, working non-calculator, okay? So I'm going to put mine up. All right, so that's what we're doing. So last class we talked about a system. We talked about 2 variables. We had 2 equations. We found an x, we found a y. Everything from here is about 3 variables, so you'll see x, y, and z. And then you'll also see that we have 3 different equations, okay? The method that I use to solve these is really more of an elimination type situation, but there's kind of like levels, and you'll hear me talk about that a lot. I'm like, you got to work your way here and then work your way back up. So bear with me. Let me try to explain. Remember I said last time, there's always more than one way to do this, okay? But we want to work smarter, not harder, right? Remember me saying that? I say that all the time. So the first thing that we want to do is we need to make sure all of our equations are in standard form, cleared of decimals or fractions. So we've talked about that a little bit. We'll see some examples there. In this case, we're all good here, but you need everything to be lined up. X's, Y's, Z's equals numbers, okay? Make sure everything's lined up. If there's fractions, clear them so you only work with whole numbers. That just makes your life easier, so I suggest that you do it. Okay, then I'm going to label each of my equations. The top one I'm going to call equation A. Middle is equation B. Bottom is equation C. This is so I can give you partial credit. This is organization. This is me being nitpicky about how I want you to show your work on this. So non-negotiable here. Because if I don't know what you're doing, I'm not going to take 5 hours trying to figure it out. I don't have 5 hours. Okay, so label these. And then your first level is to figure out a way to take your 3-variable to a 2-variable system. So I'm going to look at those equations. I'm only going to work with 2 equations at a time, but I'm going to choose a variable to eliminate. So I want to work smarter, not harder. Let me take a peek at my notes and see which one I did. Okay, so I chose to eliminate x, and I'm going to have y'all do this one my way, because if you pick Z, I think something weird happens, and I'm not ready for that yet. Okay, so I'm going to eliminate x. I'm writing what I'm doing. and I'm going to choose 2 equations to eliminate x. So how could I work with A and B? Yes?
We could multiply one of the equations by -1.
Very good. Okay, does it matter which one? No. So I'm going to write, what I'm going to do is take A, and then I'm going to add it to -1b. Or you can just say A minus B. I just keep the plus thing going on, but I'm basically going to leave equation A the same, and then I'm going to multiply the B equation, the entire one, by -1, and that's going to create a 0 pair for x. So I'm asking you guys to kind of tell me what you're eliminating and tell me how you're doing it, okay? Now, let's rewrite it. A, I didn't change. X plus y plus z equals 4. B, be careful. Anytime you multiply by an equation, do not just try to speed through. Go slow, check your work. Multiply it by -1. Negative x, negative 2 times -1 becomes +2. -1 times -1 becomes +1. 1 times -1 becomes -1. I would do a stop and just, before you keep going, because you don't want to have a mess, make sure change sign, change sign, change sign, change sign. Okay, because that's all that multiplying by a negative does. Are we okay? No mistakes. Okay, now we add them up. What happens to your x's? They eliminate out. Y plus 2y is 3y. Z plus z is 2z equals 4 plus -1 is 3. Okay? Can I simplify this equation anymore? No. Call it equation D. Okay? Now here's the step that is really important that you do right here, because if you could just go in circles and not ever figure anything out. Here's the key with this. Remember I said there's layers. On the first layer, you have to use 2 equations and eliminate 1 variable. And then the other part of that layer is you have to continue to eliminate x. So that's important. We're using the same variable we're eliminating, but I have to involve the other equation. So I got to use C somehow, okay? We got options. We can use A or B, but they're both the same, so it's honestly, I would use A. Actually, I would use A, because see how A is a little bit easier? It's just coefficients of 1. Yes, with me? Okay, so how could we eliminate x with A and C? Multiply which one? A by -2, and then we're good to just add up to C. Okay, so this is just kind of showing me like your thought process and what you're doing here. So now let's take equation A, multiply the whole thing by -2. -2x minus 2y minus 2z equals -8. Equation C did not have to change. 2x minus y minus 2z, -1. Add them up. Your x's eliminate. That was the goal. -2y plus -y is going to be -3y. -2z and -2z is -4z. And -8, -1 is -9. Nothing else I can do. And what I mean by that is like if you could divide everything by 3 and it like is pretty, then you could do that. We can't do that here because we've got a 4 and that just wouldn't work. Okay? So this is now what we're going to call equation E. Does anyone kind of see what's going to happen next? Okay, so now basically I did my elimination. Here's the key. The top guys have got to be the same variable that you are eliminating. So you have to keep consistent in that level, taking out the same one. And then you're going to get 2 other equations that are just like last class. 2 equations with 2 variables. And now you just eliminate, this is the next level, you eliminate between those 2. So when I look at these guys, which variable is going to be easier to take out, y or z? Y, because it's already set up. So what's our next level? We're going to eliminate y. And how are we going to do it? D plus e. We don't have to change anything. We're being so smart. Okay? 3y plus 2z is equal to 3. Negative 3y minus 4z is equal to negative 9. Y is gone. 2z plus negative 4z is negative 2z. 3 plus negative 9 is, what's z equal to? 3. Okay? So now we're at the bottom layer. We found what one of our variables were. The first variable takes the most work. All right, now we're going to go back up our layers. We're going to take z, and we have to use that value, but we are only ready to plug in here. One of these two places. Does it matter which one, D or E? Which one looks easier? D. So let's write a note of what we're doing. We're now going to plug z into equation D. And when we do that, we're going to be able to figure out y's value. And then we're ready to go back all the way to the top in the original and plug in two values and solve for the third. So do you see how it kind of like unravels and then you like go back up? That's what it reminds me of. Okay, so we've got, what did I say, D? 3y plus 2 times 3 equals 3. 3y plus 6 equals 3. Remember, there is value into showing me what you're doing. If this first number is wrong, it's all going to be wrong. But I'm looking at process. Do you know the process? Arithmetic mistake is not going to be that many points. Process mistake is. Okay? Subtract that over. 3y equals negative 3. Y equals negative 1. Yeah? Yes. Question? Yes.
Test do to do with the even y thing?
Do you have to do the what?
To do with y and
I would like you, you don't have to plug this into this, but I do want you to do what I did over here, like how you eliminated it. Okay? I can follow when you plug back in. So now we've got 2, so we're able to go back into one of the top equations. Which equation in the top is easier? A. So now you're going to plug Z and Y into A. Yeah, I don't need you to write plug in. That's fine. But I do want you to tell me what you're eliminating and how. And so now we go back to the original. We said we were going to use A, so X plus negative 1 or minus 1. I don't care if you change that. Plus 3 equals 4. It's going to be X plus 2 equals 4. X equals 2. And so how you're going to write your solutions with these, it's just like it's not an ordered pair because there's 3, but you know what I mean. You're going to have your solution is 2, negative 1, 3. And that's your solution set. Can you check this? How would you check it? Plug them all back into how many equations? All 3 of them. If it's a solution, it's got to work for all 3 of them. Suggest you always check your work. However, I would get everything answered before you go back and check because it does take a little bit of time. Okay? So that's the flow of these. Of course, we're going to kind of add in some fractions and we'll have to clear denominators there. But again, I'm going to post an answer key on Canvas, but if you chose to start like your first variable eliminating a different one than me, our work is going to look totally different. So just know that if I'm trying to help you, it's going to take me a minute because you got a lot going on. You should not be getting on these. You should be getting whole number, pretty numbers. If you are getting crazy fractions, you need to go back and look again. But these can be extremely frustrating, okay, especially on graded stuff. If you make a slight mistake, it could be very ugly. So please be thorough, show your work, tell me what you're doing, and just kind of those little checkpoints in between. Make sure you're multiplying stuff correctly. Make sure you're multiplying the entire equation. all that good stuff. There are some weird cases too, and I don't really know that you're going to see this so much in here. It might be more in Delta Math, but there are times that you could like double eliminate a variable on accident, and that's okay. That just means you're able to find one of them, but you've always got to go back to, if you only have one variable, you have to go to a 2-variable equation to plug back in. Does that make sense? A little bit? If that kind of went way over your head, don't worry. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But there are times that, again, sometimes it just accidentally happens, and I saw a lot in Delta Math, and people were like, whoa, it took out 2. Okay, that's fine. It just helps you find one, but you got to use a 2-variable to find the other one. Okay? So let's look at number 2 real quick. So we threw some fractions in here. We kind of talked about what to do on that one. Equation B is good and equation C is good, but what do I need to multiply equation A by to get rid of that? 8. Okay, you can turn an 8 into, an 8 is an 8. You can turn a 2 into an 8 and a 4 into an 8. So let's multiply the entire equation by 8 right here. It's the least common multiple. They all are multiples of 8. They can be turned into 8s. Okay, so what's going to happen here? 8x, I'm doing this in my head, but you're simplifying between there. So 8x over 4 becomes 2x minus 8y over 2. 56z over 8. 7z. If y'all are seeing like the simplifying across, 8 over 4 is 2. 8 over 2 is 4. 8 over 8 is 1. Equals, don't forget the last guy. 8 times 3 is 24. Oh, yeah. My bad. Z. Thank you. Thank you. Okay? So here is our equation A. All right? So expect to see something where you kind of have to manipulate it. Make sure everything's in order. X is first. Y is second. Z is third. Constants are at the end. Okay? Let me see which way. Which one looks not terrible to eliminate?
C.
Wait, no, you're saying X, Y, or Z here. X, Y, or Z. Z you could work with. The 3 and the 7 might be kind of hard. X and Y are about the same. I did Y in my notes, but I can do X so we can see a different way. Want to try that? Okay, here we go. All right, so let's write what we're doing. We're going to eliminate X. Okay, first thing, what should we do? How about
2a plus b.
Let's multiply A by -2, yes, and add it to B. X. We're going to go with that first. I did Y in my other key, so I want to show you kind of how you can get 2 different ones. But y'all are going to have to check my mental math, so here we go. All right, -2A. So we've got -4x plus 8y minus 14z. Yeah? -48. This might have been why I did y, because the numbers aren't as big. It's okay. All right, and then b is +4x, +2y minus 3z equals 4. It's a good start there. X's eliminate as we wanted. 8y and 2y is 10y. -14z and -3z is
17y.
This would be, okay, we're good. All right, and this is going to be -44. And we'll call this equation D. Okay, what's the key here? We got one 2-variable equation. We need another. And we need that other equation to only have a y and a z. So we have to keep consistent and we have to eliminate x. All right, now we need to involve c. What can we do? We're going to have to multiply both here, so have fun. Kind of do the, let's use whole numbers.
A by 3, C by 2.
Okay, so that kind of crisscross thing that I was talking about, if you have to multiply both of the equations, you can always multiply by the opposite coefficient because multiplication is commutative. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 2 is going to be 6. But we got to make one of them negative. Which one do you want to make negative? A? All right, so let's do negative 3a plus 2c. You have to get, or did you ask why do we eliminate x again? So you have to get to a 2-variable system, and they have to have the same 2. If you took out, and that's what people sometimes do, is they take out like a z, and then your equation E has 2 different variables, like they got to be kind of the same. So then you can do another elimination. Okay, here we go with this one. Negative 3a. So this is going to be negative 6x plus 12y minus 21z. Negative 24 times 3. Oh, that's 72. I'm going to need you mental math people who are really good. Full disclosure, everyone just assumes that, I'm really good at mental math because I teach it. And, no, I'm definitely not there. So, y'all got to help me out. Okay, so that's negative 3a. 2c. 2c. This one's going to be 6x 6y minus 2z 8. Don't forget the constant. That's the most common mistake. All right, let's add it up, and we're going to get equation E. Whew, this is going to be real fun. 23z negative 64. We should have eliminated y. I should have just done it my way. That's okay. That's okay. We're good. We're okay still, right? All right. So what are we going to do next? Once we get to here, we're going to use these guys, and we need to eliminate within there. So which one looks easier? Y. I think probably the y. But guess what? I'm going to get a calculator, and we're going to do this together, okay? Because this is just kind of crazy. All right. How can we eliminate y? Let's talk about how. How can we eliminate y? What do I need to multiply equation D by? Can we do negative on that one? Because one has to be negative. Negative 18 and...
Can we do, get them both to 90? Do, 18y.
Oh. Yeah, you could. If you want to go with that. It would be a smaller number. I see what you're saying now. I'm just going to keep doing my crisscross thing, though. And then what's this one going to be? Plus 10e. All right, we're going to need some help with the 18 one. All right, so this is going to be negative 18 times 10. We should be able to do this one. Negative 180. Why? All right, negative 18 times negative 17. I got 306. 306z. Negative 18 times negative 44. Oh, dear. 792. All right, and then E we have to multiply by 10. So we have 180y. The numbers are just getting really big, and it's just because we should have started with y, but that's okay. There's a lot. Okay, all right, and then so we got minus 230z negative 640. To be honest, if you were working, I have not worked your mid-unit assessments every which way you possibly can, but if I were you and you get an equation D that looks like this, I might just say I'm going to throw in the towel and try a different way. Because if these are big, it's most likely those are going to be big. But we're good. We're working together today because it's day 1. Plus, all right, y's go away. 306 minus 230. 76 Z equals 792 minus 640. Y'all are really fast. Are y'all working ahead or do y'all just have good mental math? I'm not good at mental math either. All right, 152 divided by 76. Z equals 2. Okay? It's also really important that you guys keep consistent with your variables. Okay, are we done? No. So now we got to work our way back up. So now you got to take your value of Z and plug it back in. Okay, to one of these, D or E. Plug back in. I would do D as well. Plug into D. So we have 10Y. This is a 2. That's why I do my Z's like that, because my handwriting is just so sloppy, you just can't tell. What is this, 34? I got Y equals -1. Plug back in. Let me show you. Here's our solution. Here's the thing. Hear me out. This is a lot. I know. This takes a lot of time. This takes a lot of paper. This takes a lot of mental math. I'm aware. We got it. Okay? It takes a lot of practice, but I promise you the flow of this is not different no matter what the problems are. So you just have to really work through these, struggle through them, and then it's going to click, and when it does, it's not just going to disappear. You're going to know what to do. Let me just show you. I eliminated variable Y on this same exact problem. Okay, I started with that. I want to show you how much easier it was to work here. Here were my equations, D and E. 10x, 1z, 32. -6x plus 7z, -4. The numbers stayed way smaller. So it was a little bit easier to go. So for the rest of my classes, we're going to be eliminating Y. But I end up doing the same type of work. I found X first, and then I plugged back in, and then I found Z, and then I found Y. So this is what I'm saying is your work can look totally different. But the bulk of the work is finding the first variable. And if that one is wrong, everything else is going to be wrong. Most likely, okay? But the way that I grade it is I need to see that you know what to do with your solutions and actually how you plug them in. You can just show me the algebra. You don't have to write for me. But then get your solutions there. Yes. Sure. Okay? Yes.
Is there a good way to find out which variable to eliminate first?
Always ones that, and someone brought this out. I haven't worked with Z before, but I think that one would probably get big. Coefficients of ones are always easily manipulated. But it kind of just, it totally just depends on the setup. But if you get something with really big numbers in that first equation, I would maybe say, okay, what happens if I just tried a different one? And if the numbers are smaller, I'd probably go with that. I don't feel like anything on your mid units are going to be crazy. But because I think that's too much to do non-calculator. But that's just me. Okay, let me take a look real quick. 3, this is going to be the last one that I do with you, and then you're going to work. I'm going to give y'all the solutions on the other ones. And then y'all are going to work I think there's 3 more. Is there 3 more? 4, 5, 6. Okay, we're going to do number 3. Before you shut down on me, don't do it. Listen here. We got to fix stuff here. First thing is, let's rewrite everything and get stuff in the right order. Okay, so our top equation A. What do we need to move? We don't have any denominators to deal with, so what do we need to move? So we have x plus 4y. How do you move that 5z? Subtract. Here's your equation A. Equation B. We need to put in the same order. 3x is fine. What goes in the middle?
Plus 2y.
Plus 2y.
What?
We had to move the 2y, and it needed to go in the middle. Equals 7. Does everyone see what I'm doing here?
Yes.
Okay? We need it to be lined up. And this is going to be really important, too, when we get to doing these with the calculator. Keeping them lined up is important. What do I need to multiply the whole third equation by? I'm going to do that first. 4. So what's that going to leave you with? Let's just keep it in the same order, and then we'll fix it in a second. Not 4y. Y.
Plus 2x minus 8 equals negative 5z.
If you can't do this, if you can't multiply in that 4 and get the equation, it's not in the right order, but if you cannot go through and figure out where they're getting these coefficients, that is something that we need to talk about when I let you practice. What's equation C?
2x plus y plus 5z equals 8. All right.
Okay, I want you, if you're working ahead, please don't, because I want to show you something that you can do here. And I need to make sure that we set it up. We're going to choose to eliminate, what do y'all think? Z. Okay, why does Z seem easier?
Because it's already done.
Negative 5 and positive 5. So that to me would be like, start there. Because you're at least going to have one way easily to eliminate. So let's eliminate. And something cool happens here that I want to show you. I've kind of talked about it a little bit. But easiest way to eliminate Z would be to add A plus C. So we'll start with that. This is nice because you don't have to multiply by anything. And that's usually where the mistakes happen. Or when you multiply and you make a mistake there. You don't do it right. 2x plus 3x 5y equals 1. That's your equation D. Okay. All right. Key, you have to make sure you continue to eliminate Z to get that 2 variable in terms of x and y. I'm going to show you the way I did so that way this happens. I did 3a plus 5b. Why is that easier than dealing with equation C?
Because
One of them's already negative. So when I look over here, this is negative, this is positive, which means I just don't have to worry about multiplying by a negative, which means less room for mistakes because multiplying by negatives, sometimes we trip up. 3a. 3x. 12y. 15z. Negative 21. $5b. 10y.
Oh, I know. It's just easier. No, get rid of the eggs because we just have to move on with
Okay, someone just pointed out that the numbers are still a little bit large. Watch what we can do. This is going to give us equation E. 18x, 22y, 14. 18, 22, 14. They're all even. Divide the whole thing by 2. So this is as long as I would not do anything that gives fractions. So if you can just divide by 2 even, sometimes you can divide and like all the coefficients become 1. Even better, okay? But try to make it easier if you can. If you don't do this, you can still get the question right. But I would just advise, if it's possible, our actual equation E is going to be 9x plus 11y equals 7. Just a little bit easier here, okay? So what's going to be the best variable to take out between D and E?
X.
How?
Negative 3D plus E.
Some of y'all are getting the hang of it. Take it from there. You should get 3 pretty whole numbers in the wrong order. So again, you have a lot of freedom here with your solutions. Do write them as a set. That's the squiggly brackets. I'm going to go correct those on the other one. X, Y, Z. It's pretty common that they're going to be like just single digit numbers, but that's not the only thing in the world. You'll see when we do some word problems that will happen there. There's 3 more problems. So it is 208. I'm going to give you guys the solutions to the next 3 problems in the notes. I want you to work through those, and then you have 3 delta maths. I think that the notes problems are like a little bit more challenging than the delta math ones, so I would do those first. The delta math ones, sometimes the case where like 2 variables eliminate and they just go a little bit faster, but I would focus more on the notes first to make sure you get the process and then go to those. So, look at I want y'all to write these down. Look at problem 4. Look at problem 4. This one's not a bad setup. Here is your solution. Let me make sure this is the same one. I think it is. I'll get these all worked out and put it on Canvas too. It's just going to take me a minute because I have to show a lot of work. Your solution on number 4. Write this down so that way you can check your work. Because if you make a mistake, you're going to want to start over. Write these 3 down before you go. Okay? 5, -3, 6. So if you get your first variable and it does not match up with this, go back. Try again. Okay? That's problem 4. 5, I'm pretty sure these are the same. I just want to make sure so I don't tell you wrong because that would cause panic. X plus Y plus Z, 3, 7, 10. Okay, this one. Ooh, I like this one. The solution here. 1, 0, -1. Are we going to freak out if we see a 0?
No.
No, because 0 is a number. 0 is actually a very easy number to work with. So, might make your life a little bit easier. Okay? Last one, number 6. You have to work with the denominators here to make that pretty. What are you going to multiply the bottom equation by? 4. Very good. Okay, and then rewrite it. Rewrite it and relabel it for me. Okay, this solution is, I'm pretty sure this is the same. 2, 1, -3. Okay, so those should be kind of good check marks for you. Thank you. And then you have 3 problems in Delta Math. Remember, Delta Math is up for the whole unit. So, you should be through 1.1 and 1.2. No word problems today. You do have a word problem or 2, probably just 1, but I can't remember off the top of my head. You do have a word problem, but it is a 2-variable word problem. So if you want more practice on those, there was a couple in the notes. Yeah, and it's all non-calculator. All right, ready, set, work.